Hey there, welcome to today's video. It's Kathy here, and this is my third video in the Derwent Inktense series. On the Derwent website, they state that Inktense are compatible with wood. And today we're going to try out these water-soluble colored pencils on this sanded, unprimed maple wood slice. Let's do this. So the first thing I'm noticing with these pencils is the grain of the wood, and that coloring with the grain is not as successful at depositing the pigment into the wood grain as it is to work against the grain, which makes total sense. I thought about priming the wood before I started, but I decided against it because I really wanted to test these out on the most raw wood surface possible, since it's a test. So this aspect is something I'm going to have to figure out as I go. I'm also going over the initial color repeatedly to try and make sure that I'm going to have enough pigment on the wood. Now I'm using a darker color over the original orange I used for the mushroom cap, and I'm trying to consider what's going to happen once I wet this wood slice, and I'm worried that it's all going to dissipate, so I'm really trying to get more pigment onto this wood slice. At this point, I really don't know how the introduction of water is going to react with the wood because it's not primed, but I also am not sure at this point how soft or absorbent this maple wood slice is. I've used it in a very limited capacity in the past, so I haven't used it with a lot of water before. So we're just going to have to wait and see. The mushroom I'm drawing here is called Fly Agaric. I'm not sure if that's pronounced correctly or not, but the description is blood red cap with pyramidal white patches. This is your typical red mushroom with the cute little white spots on it that is very, very popular. So I add a little bit of water here just to test it out and to see how things go. So at this point, I'm pleased with how the pigment's holding up when water's added, but I'm unsure of whether I like the way it's seeping into the wood. So I try this spray water bottle to see if that produces an effect that I like and can work with. And I do like it better than the brush alone. So now I'm proceeding to add water to the entire surface of the wood. And that's going to tie everything in and kind of bleed the ink into the entire surface of the wood, and also gives me a new surface to use more Inktense pencil on because I haven't used it on a wet surface before this point. I'm also using water as a way to set the ink so that it is permanent. This will allow me to use a lighter pigment over some of the areas that are a little bit darker but that are dried. Once you wet and dry the Inktense, it becomes permanent, so it's not going to pick up. You don't have to worry about it picking up if you want to draw over it with a lighter color. Now I'm experimenting with adding some of the pencil to the edges of this piece, and I particularly really love the dark blue color that I'm using because it's super, super inky. And then I'm also adding water to see what kind of effects I get. I didn't dislike the effects, but I am experimenting here, so down the road I'm going to play around with this a little bit more, you'll see. So now I'm using the white Inktense pencil over previously dried area that has a darker pigment shade there. And the results are kind of middling because the application is not smooth. It's a little bit like crusty, but I'm working with it. And then I tried to wet the white Inktense to see if there was going to be any opacity, and really there really wasn't. I really do like the way that the stem of the mushroom came out with the white Inktense over top. That texture really works for it, and it's going to work even better shortly, you'll see. Okay, so now I have discovered that there is no real opaque quality to the Inktense white in the way that I'm using it today, and I was not into switching gears to make my mushroom spots a darker color. I really wanted them to be white, so I'm breaking out all the sharp things I have and I'm just going to dive into this surface to see if I can carve out or hatch or dig out areas to insert some white pigment into those places. This was also a good way to inadvertently discover if maple gets soft when it gets saturated. Most of the wood stayed hard when I was hatching and digging into it. However, some portions of the rings in the wood, particularly the center, got very soft, and accidentally I bore a deep indent into the center ring. But that comes later. So I was doing a test to see if I could find a way to make spots that I thought looked good and worked with the overall vibe of this art. I found this little cross hatching technique worked well, so then I tried it on the mushroom stem, just experimenting with it. I like how it's coming out. I like how this wood digging technique, if you can call it that, is working out here. So if I was allowing myself to use any other materials besides Inktense, then I would have used Posca paint pen or acrylic paint or Dr. Martin's white, some sort of an opaque white ink, perhaps, something like that, other than doing what I'm doing. But I do have to say, like, I'm not disliking the way that this little cross hatching technique has worked out with the overall vibe. It looks really rustic and it looks a little like 60s retro, which I like. So that makes me happy and I think it's really cute. So I'm going back into the edges again, the border with the blue pencil, and then I'm using some white Inktense to help lighten it up a little bit and just adding some detail to the mushroom as we go. And I'm going to start doing a quote up in the top sky area shortly. So I have my quote all picked out. It's from my tea bag and it's from Van Gogh. And now I'm just working out the composition and how I'm going to place the words in this piece. And then I'm wiping off some more of the Inktense because I'm a little bit dubious about how the pencil's going to sit on top of so much pencil underneath it. And I was right because there's sort of a wax buildup going on, and you'll see at points I pull out my awl and I am trying to bore into the wood to give my pencil something to grab onto. So you'll notice I drew a little cloud behind the mushroom on the left and I ended up not keeping it. I was going to add some more cloud elements and I just didn't have the room, and I also didn't want to argue with the Inktense anymore and to try and find resolutions to issues that I might run into with that. So I just left them out and that's fine. I'm really happy with how it came out. I used the Inktense today on maple. If you know of a different type of wood that it would work better on, do let us all know in the comments. I'm very curious what other types of wood Inktense will work on. If you'd like to see more Inktense testing videos, definitely let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe, and do turn on notifications so you'll be able to see all my new videos. If you like watching my art videos and you want a little bit more, I'm starting a Patreon. I'm super excited to have another platform to share more with you than I can share here on YouTube. I'm launching the Patreon on March 7th. I will share more in upcoming videos about it. I hope this video has been insightful for you today. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.